Hello, everyone. So we are entering the final week of the course, which in a few days, uh, though it is a shortened week because of the way the semester falls. So I want to make sure to get these assignments to you as soon as possible. That means you want to keep up with week 5 and get ahead on them if possible, and so that you have enough time to work on these final assignments. So instead of having one longer paper, I've decided to give you two smaller papers so that we could look at two texts. Both texts are short, and both, I think, are applicable to different things we've looked at so far this semester, and similarities as well. So the first is The Ones Who Walk Away from Omelas by Ursula Le Guin. It's in a similar vein as The Country of the Blind. It's allegorical. It's gets at a question about the greater good and the needs of the many versus those who perhaps aren't in power. And I think like the allegory of the cave or country of the blind, there are some general interpretations that people usually get from it, but it can be application of it can be in many, many different areas. Just like allegory of the cave, you could say you're in a cave because of your views on gender, that it's our views on gender are very Western, right? Or our views on gender are full of binary oppositions, right? So have that in mind as you go into that text. And then the other one is The Very Old Man with Enormous Wings by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. Okay. Now, you will need to write two short papers, each a minimum of 2.5 pages. Please keep in mind that is a minimum. In Microsoft Word, double spaced, 12 point Times New Roman font, to connect the ideas we've been working on this semester. Each essay must have a clear introduction, thesis, and conclusion. And it must also include each of the following: use of literary theory. So we've talked about feminism, historicism, psychoanalytic, Marxism, biographical criticism, deconstruction, which is the binary oppositions that we've been talking about. And if you want more explanation of those, you can go to, on the final papers assignment, there's the vocabulary sheet, and the vocabulary sheet outlines these theories. Okay, so you get a lot of the vocabulary, and on the second page, you get explanations of the theories. Okay, so for each paper, you must touch on literary theory, and you must use literary terms. And I say show mastery of the topic using multiple literary terms. See the vocabulary sheet. Just show me that you can use the terms we've been talking about. You don't need to overdo it, but just show me that they're accessible to you at this point. So the first paper on The Very Old Man with Enormous Wings is worth 20 points on the semester. So you can see that's 4 times a homework grade. So just put a little more time into it. Although most of you have actually been putting a lot of time into those homework assignments, which I really appreciate. And so if you have been doing that, if you have been getting the 5 out of 5, you're close to there already. So the term the other is important to understand in many different concepts in literature. Otherness is most commonly used in post-colonial theory, a theory where we haven't focused on a lot this semester, but with this text, you'll be touching on it. It is used in philosophy, literary theory, sociology, anthropology, and many other areas of study. At the most basic level, the other is the opposite of the self, but it's more commonly thought of in terms of groups. Anyone who is viewed as foreign, different, resisting cultural norms, or refusing conformity can be viewed as the other. So we all know this through psychological things like group identity theory or peer pressure, or how we treat people who are different, right? So studying the way people are othered, made marginalized, made to be pushed to the outskirts or treated differently because they're different, can help us understand our world and culture more effectively. In terms of literary theory, the concept of examining and analyzing otherness enables us to understand power relationships, disenfranchisement, social and cultural norms, and even our own identities. So, as you're writing this paper, you'll need to use a theory, you'll need to use some literary terms, consider this term the other, and then answer these 3 questions in the paper. One theme in The Very Old Man with Enormous Wings is the idea of the other. Basically, the old man is a stranger or foreigner, and every interaction the old man has throughout the text is shaped by this difference. Explain how multiple parts of the text are shaped by the old man being the other. So I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Just give some examples. How does the way the old man is treated connect with the way American society treats people viewed as the other? Use specific examples from American society and point to the text. So this is a matter of interpretation. Whatever you feel you see in American society, you can use there. How do themes from this text connect to at least 2 other texts from this semester? Explain using examples. Okay, so we've looked at many texts where you could view it through the lens of the other, right? And through gender relationships, through class relationships, through just being treated as different. And so just connect it to at least 2 other texts. And just do that in 2.5 pages. And that's the first paper. The second paper on the ones who walked away from Omelas, same thing, use a literary theory, use some vocab terms, and then answer these 3 questions, or 4 questions. Explain in detail using examples from the text how themes in this text connect to the allegory of the cave and country of the blind. As I said, it's allegorical. I don't expect you to know outright, how most people interpret it. What I want you to do is, given what we've done with allegory this semester, make some general guesses about application of this allegory, what we could use it to interpret, to look at. And then explain in detail using examples from the text how themes in this text connect to at least 2 other texts. So connect it to, number 1, the allegory of the cave and the country of the blind, and then connect it to 2 other texts we've looked at. And then answer these last 2 questions. Who are the ones who walk away from Omelas? Why do they leave? Why do they go alone? Is it brave or something else? Okay, this is a matter of interpretation. It is your individual opinion as long as it's based on evidence. Okay, and finally, how could this text relate to modern American society? And give 2 examples. Okay, so again, I gave you some idea, this idea of the greater good, right? Is it okay that some people have to suffer for the good of the whole? And you can interpret that or apply that in any way you might like. Okay, so that is the final paper assignment. So for the final week, you will need to watch the yellow wallpaper discussion, take the quiz, and then complete the final paper assignment. The texts are available there. You can include both papers on one Microsoft Word document and submit it there. Also, in the next few days, I'll be adding a video to the end of this week just to sum up the semester, just to give you some closing thoughts. Thank you, and let me know if you have any questions.